Okay, my friends, here it is. The first video of the year. And the video that is going to show you exactly what varieties I am growing and why. So I hope you got your notepad ready because there's going to be a lot of tips and tricks and things that you will learn in this video. So let us get right into it. Now, the Viking style of gardening is what we could call food security gardening. So what do I mean by that? I mean that some people in their garden, they grow 8 different kinds of lettuce and then kale and then spinach, and all of that is great. You will see that we also grow that. But that stuff is not going to sustain you. So in what I would call a food security garden, some call it a survival garden, we could call it a Viking garden, we are going to focus on that which will sustain you, and that is the calories, only the calories. And so listed in that order, we are going to go through the crops that should be in your Viking food security garden. Number 1 is potatoes. Yes, guys, potatoes they can sustain you completely. So you can survive for quite some time just on potatoes. They are loaded with vitamins and minerals and fibers and good quality starches. All the good stuff that we need can be found in the potato. So they are number 1, and they will store all winter long if you do it right. So here are some Yukon Golds from the season, and these are still nice and solid. I've been eating them all winter. We are already in the middle of January. This is a German butterball potato, still rock solid. Very different kind of texture though, still a golden potato, but this is very dense, very heavy, and think German potato salad, that kind. I really like the German butterball, and both of these store for a long time. Next crop is going to be the sweet potatoes because they are packed with nourishment, vitamins, minerals, all the good stuff, but they also store for a crazy amount of time, and you don't need any special kind of storage. The sweet potato will store just sitting out on the shelf for 8 months to a year, year and a half. Some of them I've had stored 2 years. And I don't know exactly what varieties these were because originally, several years ago, I just went to the local co-op and got some sweet potatoes and then started the slips from there. So watch my videos because it's approaching time to start the sweet potato slips. Next thing is going to be the beans, guys. Beans are loaded with proteins and fibers, and they store almost indefinitely once you dehydrate them. And so my favorite of all is the Good Mother Stallard bean. Very flavorful, very unique. And if you haven't had homegrown beans, guys, they are light years beyond anything that you can get from the store. So the other thing is going to be the rattlesnake pole beans. So guys, if you're only going to grow one bean, make it the rattlesnake pole bean because it can be eaten as a green bean, fresh, in its pod, or it can be allowed to go until the plant dies, and then you can use it as a dry bean. And it's essentially like a pinto bean, something like that. But here's the trick, guys. Beans love the hot weather. And so if you're up north or you're in the Pacific Northwest where beans don't typically do well, then do a runner bean like the black coat or the scarlet runner bean. And those are going to do a lot better in the cooler environments. Next thing that I like is the purple hull peas. These are also in line with the beans because they're like a legume. I like to eat them fresh. Also, you can dry them. I have a pea and bean sheller though that makes it very easy. Let me know if you want to see more on that. The purple hull pink eye is grown typically in the south because it loves the screaming hot weather. So it's no problem if you got hot, humid conditions. The purple hull pink eye will produce nice long pods with about 10 peas, black-eyed peas in each one. Super delicious. So for green beans, we're going to grow the Kalima. This is the one that I have settled on over the years for bush green beans. If you remember, if you're just growing one green bean, the rattlesnake pole bean. But the Kalima is a good compact bush green bean, and they make very good They can really well. They hold their texture really well after canning. Next thing in the Viking survival garden is going to be corn, guys. Here is some glass gem corn, and we grind this into cornmeal and eat it as grits with some maple syrup or some salt and butter all winter long. Also, you can make it into Johnny cakes, all different kinds of things. It stores indefinitely, guys. This type of corn was grown all throughout the Americas by the indigenous people. They grew large amounts of corn. It was a staple of their diet, and it still can be of yours. So here is 2 types of flint drying corn. Now the glass gem corn gets 9 feet tall and it produces a lot. That's what this is. So that's what this one is. So if you have a long growing season and you want to do the Three Sisters garden, glass gem corn. Three Sisters garden, glass gem corn, because it's big and robust and strong. But if you have a shorter growing season or you're somewhere in Canada, painted mountain corn is developed specifically for that type of environment. So, because it only gets about 4 feet tall, and so it doesn't spend as much time on the infrastructure. As far as sweet corns, which you do not use sweet corn for the Three Sisters, watch the video I made on the Three Sisters. Fisher's Earliest, reliable, sweet, delicious, old school flavor, super good sweet corn. Next thing's gonna be the winter squash, guys. The Tahitian melon squash is the one you want to grow. 20 pounds, give or take 10, 20 pounds. Each plant produces 5 to 10 of these massive things. They store a year, no problem, in the basement. Basically a butternut squash, just with a massive neck like this. Super delicious. You gotta get on the Tahitian melon squash train. And for summer squash, we like the white scallop squash. This is an old school Native American variety. They've been growing it in North America for many years. Now this is also another good one, Patterson Golden Marble Scallop. But my favorite above all is the white scallop. Here is the kind of zucchini that I like for my mom so she can make some good breads and stuff, the Ford Hook zucchini. Next on the list is the peas, guys. I do all different kinds of peas, super good. Now, something like the Lillian's caseload, this is gonna be a shelling pea, which, because I have the pea sheller, makes it really easy to shell them and then dry them, dehydrate them, so that we can use them all winter long. We can either use them in soups and stews, or we can sprout them. That's what I like to do with these, is to sprout them. But these ones, you do not eat the shell. Whereas the sugar bun is like a snap pea, and so you can eat the entire thing, nice and sweet. Both of those, very good, very high in fibers and minerals. The Progress number 9 is another shelling pea that I also like to use. So there's 3 varieties that work really well also for drying. Now the next thing is what I'm just gonna group as the root crops. And so first on the list of the root crops is the carrots, guys. I love carrots, adding them to stir fries and soups and stews and all kinds of good stuff. I make stir fries all summer long from the garden, as you will see on the videos. This is a very good, reliable one. I had great success with it last year from Fruition Seeds. Coral is also a good one that I have used several times, but I will say that my 2 favorite are the new Kuroda and the Kyoto Red. Now the new Kuroda is really good if you're going in the ground, because remember, carrots need a soft, mild, fluffy soil. Otherwise they're gonna be real kind of split and mangled, and they're gonna be real hairy and fibrous, and they're gonna be tough and woody. So they need like a lightly cultivated, think like potting soil almost. But if you don't have that and you're planting in the ground, then this new Kuroda is going to really be able to power through. This one I plant in the ground and it always produces good results. However, if you have an area cultivated specifically for carrots, which is nice and fluffy, about 1.5 feet deep of just fluff, the Kyoto Red is going to be, it's so sweet, guys. It is almost like a fruit. It almost tastes watermelonish. It is delicious. But you plant this in the last week of July so that it can ripen as the fall and winter comes. Do not plant this one in the spring. Super sweet, super delicious. Next thing is going to be the beets, guys. The beets, you need the minerals of the earth. Now, I've grown bull's blood for several years, but last year was the first year I grew the Cylindra beet, and I can say, hands down, without any doubt, the Cylindra is the greatest tasting beet I've ever had. It doesn't have that earthy, it doesn't taste like soil, you know, like some beets can. It tastes like a sweet earth. It is so delicious in juice. I juice these all summer long, and it adds a nice earthy element without the soil or the clay taste that a lot of beets can get. So I highly recommend the Cylindra beets. Also in the root crops is going to be the turnips, guys. We love us some turnips. We put those into the hot pot, the same thing that we do with the daikon radish. Now we make a lot of kimchi, guys. For ferments, the daikon works really well. Now these I will plant midsummer for a fall harvest. These as well. These go into the fall garden. Very good, nourishing, reliable. We need the roots. Next on this list is garlic and onions, guys, because this gives you the phytonutrients that you need, and it flavors all the delicious cooking, and they store all winter long. Now for the garlic, I have like 20 different varieties, so just choose you some good garlic. It is definitely on that list. But I can tell you beyond any doubt, my favorite onions are going to be the Yellow of Parma and the Wethersfield Red. These are still rock solid from last year. I cook with onions and garlic pretty much every meal. Now, that is going to be the Wethersfield Red and also the Yellow of Parma. But another one, if you can't find the Yellow of Parma, is the New York Early. This is also one that stores all winter long. If you are in an intermediate day area, meaning anywhere but the deep south, Australian Brown is going to work really good for you. But make sure that you watch my video on onions, because remember, the long day versus the short day, it's not what everybody thinks that it is. Short day are all grown over the winter time only in the deep south. Generally, you're growing intermediate or long day onions. Next thing is the tomatoes, guys. Beyond any doubt, my favorite tomato of all is the Cherokee Purple. No doubt, hands down. Next in line would be for the smaller cherry type tomatoes would be Purple Bumblebee. You will thank me later. Those two alone are unbelievably delicious. I get all kinds of comments on them. But for the paste tomatoes, which we make the sauce out of, I can all kinds of sauce. Remember, keep it simple, tomatoes and salt, that's all it takes. And if you want to see the super easy version, watch the video I made in the fall of the very easy version of canning tomatoes. Not like it used to be all day long, laborious. But this year we are going to, well, in here is Roma's and Amish paste. Those are the two that I like. But this year I'm going to try, because of your suggestions, the San Marzano. So let me know if you have had success with the San Marzano, if there's anything I need to be aware of. But the Amish paste, very good one. Nice, big, meaty, blocky. And the Amish paste is one of the few that you can eat really as a slicer as well. Because things like the Roma tomatoes, they don't really have much flavor until you cook them. The heat unlocks the flavor and makes it really taste that classic tomato sauce. Next thing's gonna be the peppers, guys, and I love to smoke them on some oak or some hickory wood, and then I dehydrate them. Whoa, they're super delicious and smell like the middle of summer campfire. And then I grind them down and I use them as a spice in most of the cooking. Now the primary one is going to be the poblano. It's super good for smoking, roasting, dehydrating. Now the sweet, but it's got a little bit of spice to it, a little bit of heat. The sweetest pepper is going to be like an Ivarsky, very sweet. And this is like the classic paprika. Remember, paprika is just peppers that have been dehydrated and ground into powder. Also, an honorable mention for peppers has to be the Tabasco pepper. I get one Tabasco plant every year, and then I take it and I ferment them for several months, and then I make this homemade Tabasco sauce. This is actual Tabasco peppers with some garlic in it, and it makes a delicious sauce. Okay guys, next things is what I'm just gonna group together as the greens, okay? We're gonna start with cabbage. If you're planting in the spring, this is the best one. Gloria Weinkusen, very nice, fast, tight, dense heads. If you're planting in the fall, the Brunswick is very good for sauerkraut, and it's very cold tolerant, but it takes a lot longer because it gets a lot bigger. And so the Brunswick's fall, the Einkusen is the spring. Celery, I plant about 5 or 6 plants of celery, and they cut and come again. You just take them from the outer side, and I use it all summer long. And the next thing is going to be the mustard greens. I like this purple mustard green. We also use the New Wave mustard greens. Now, the Swiss chard is another green. The Vulcan Swiss chard, guys, is a beautiful plant. Most people, when they come and see my garden, they look at that plant and say, wow, what is that? Because it's 3 feet tall and 4 feet wide and got huge, beautiful leaves on it. Very cool, ornamental and tasty. And the next thing is collard greens, guys. Watch my video on how to make collard greens, and then you will also want to grow them. This year, though, actually, I'm switching to the Vates collards because these are getting the powdery mildew a little bit too fast, whereas the Vates that I grew last year didn't get them at all. So I'm going to grow the Vates this year. Another one is Yod Pha, guys. If you struggle to grow greens in a real hot climate, this is like a Thai. They grow it in Thailand. And it loves the heat and produces like a combination between a broccoli and a spinach kind of thing. Now, shijimisa, guys, is super delicious. If you grow spinach and you're sick and tired of it bolting all the time, because spinach is so temperamental, it just wants to bolt as soon as the heat comes, shijimisa will give you everything you ever wanted from spinach, except it will not bolt nearly as easily. It can, but I highly recommend it, guys. As well as komatsuna. Komatsuna is the most cold hardy of all the greens. It was the very last thing to succumb to the weather. And so I plant this for the fall garden to make in all kinds of stir fries. Next thing is going to be the water category, or the hydrating category, the electrolytes category. So for the melons, guys, last year we grew melons and the Kolb's gem was like 75, 80 pounds, massive watermelon. Pretty good flavor, no doubt, but beyond, by far, the Alibaba watermelon was delicious. And guys, we're in northern Indiana, zone 5/6, and we can grow these Alibabas in our season. And so you have to wait till it gets really nice and hot, but I highly recommend the Alibaba, definitely. Now, if you want small little personal melons that grow throughout the season, the Maduras is gonna be super good. It means honey melon, and the name is very appropriate. Very sweet, nice and small, individual size. Also the Kahari, this is gonna be similar. These are gonna be like cantaloupe type, this one, and it's gonna be very sweet and sugary. Now, the next thing is gonna be the cucumbers, guys. Remember, if you want to pickle the cucumbers, you need to use a pickling cucumber. You might have a little bit of success with the other kind, but the pickling cucumber is designed bred to be pickled, meaning it has a very thin skin, so it can soak up the pickling brine very easily, and it does not become mushy when you try to pickle it. So I use the Chicago pickling cucumber. 1 or 2 plants will produce dozens of these little cucumbers that you can pickle. Still have a bunch of them in the refrigerator. This is a good slicer. This is my favorite standard slicer. This is what the Market More 76 is what most people think of when they think of a homegrown garden cucumber. Very reliable. People love them when I give them away. But two specialty ones that I really like, the China Jade, guys. This one is got a thick spiny skin on it, but when you skin it, the flesh is very sweet and it's very hydrating, and it's wonderful to eat with the Cherokee purple tomatoes and things like that. Now, one that caught me by surprise, I started growing 2 years ago, was this, the Richmond green apple, and it's very sweet, very tasty. So these are fresh eating ones only. Now, the final thing is gonna be the herbs and flowers, guys, and I grow all kinds of herbs. The sage, and I dry it. I got a bunch of these hanging all over the place, and I just break them off and use them in my cooking as I need. Or I will take a whole thing and throw it into the water of the sauna, and it really helps to open up everything. So the other thing is going to be the summer savory, guys. If you don't know what summer savory is, you need to get on that train. It is like a combination between oregano and rosemary. It's just different and very delicious. Also grow rosemary, oregano, and all the other things. Cilantro, and then we let it go and we collect the seed from it. The cilantro, it becomes coriander. And then the basil as well. We made so much basil pesto. We still got a dozen of them in the freezer downstairs, and we've been enjoying them all winter long. So there you go, guys. Remember, it is better to start seeds too late than too early. Don't be jumping the gun starting them too early. Now, you need to watch my seed starting masterclass video, which is right here. And then right here is the budget seed starting setup video.